Goody!
Alright, what's up everybody? It is Zombies here again, and today we have another farming video. So this is actually a little bit of a follow-up to the Valeera coin guide I made a few days ago. We have had a new method that's actually been kind of shown to us actually from the comments of that video. So I do want to shout that out here, and I'm going to have it come up on screen now. Shout out to Yan Gao for their method here. If you have not seen the other video, basically I tried a few different methods of farming Valeera coins to see what was the kind of most efficient method to do it. And doing so, I was trying a method on Nefarian where you can get a passive for Valeera or a few other fighters that makes it so they insta-kill Nefarian at the start of the fight due to a passive treasure that assassinates him, which is a pretty cool interaction. However, it was very heavily RNG based, and that made the method not very effective. Luckily, one of the comments here that I have on screen now kind of told us of a new way to do this. So this is actually a kind of OTK method, and it involves no RNG pretty much, which is awesome, because that was my biggest problem with the last kind of method we tried. It was way too RNG heavy, especially when you factor in that you're not even technically guaranteed Valeera coins at the end, because you could get coins for the other two. I know I've been getting a lot of Mr. Smite coins from this one. Gotten Valeera a few times, but usually only one, maybe two once. So I haven't had the most luck with it. So there's luck there, but when you were like stacking the luck of the coins on top of the luck of like getting the Nefarian kill, it was just really annoying. Luckily, speaking of luck, we have a new method, and this method is basically all you need for this method, strictly speaking, is Garrosh. And basically with him, we are using his dueling gauntlets here. I don't remember the levels on this, but you do want it to basically say this text here: this merc has 50 or less health. Magora, I want to say, becomes a battle to the death. And that's really important because this is how we do our OTK here. Nefarian spawns in as a 0 attack, 999 health unit. So if we can get our Garrosh to under 50 health and get our attack off, they will smack each other until they die. However, we do need one more piece of the kind of puzzle here, because unfortunately, Garrosh only has 11 attack, so that would take a while, and on top of that, it would actually take so many attacks that the turn will time out before you actually get the kill if you're doing it with an unbuffed Garrosh. So, to kind of remedy that problem, we have Rorka as the second kind of combo piece here. Now, it doesn't really matter what you're running on her. I ran the extra health passive just to kind of help to guarantee she survives if I need to use her in a fight because one of my mainline dies or something. But it really doesn't matter. The only ability we really care about is offensive rally right here. So whenever a friendly character attacks this turn, give it +5, +10. And this turns the Garrosh kill into a much faster kill, because every other swing, Garrosh is gaining +5. So you can actually kill Nefarian in the turn, action limits or timer or whatever you want to call it. And it'll just be much faster than if you were bonking him for 11 damage a time, because he scales pretty fast. Now we do have one final piece of kind of the OTK puzzle here. These are the only two that you need to actually do actions and get it. However, there's one more mercenary that is quite useful. Not required. I would say you can do this without him, but it is much more kind of easy and streamlined with him, and that is Gruul. If you don't know, I am a big fan of Gruul in PvP and definitely PvE. BlackRock has a lot of characters that deal fire damage, and he is really good at stopping that. So that's actually what we're using him for here. Also, one thing that's important to note, if you look at our health totals here, we have 85 health on Gruul and 84 health on Garrosh, and that's actually very important because when the AI is selecting who to attack in the Nefarian fight, he has all those blue caster dragons that are going to attack you and use mostly fire skills, and who they attack is determined by which of your protectors has the highest health. So you want to make sure Gruul has the highest health if possible. It doesn't totally lock out you from being able to do the combo, but it does make it a bit more annoying than not doing that. So be careful when you're going through. When you get treasures and stuff, don't take any treasures that like buff your orcs or something. You want to be kind of conscious of that and always be trying to choose abilities that don't impact your character's stats, unless that buffs like all your characters, or if it's specifically buffing Gruul, so that way he has more stats. But you do want his fire passive here. That's actually why we're running him, because the dragons are going to deal a lot of damage on that first turn. So by having the fire passive out, we can guarantee our Garrosh survives and gets knocked into a range where we can actually get the kill from Makora. So yeah, that's the general combo. In terms of getting through the bounty, I think the lineup is much less specific. I have the one that they recommended here. So they were rocking a Rag Get In Fire combo as well as Valeera. One important thing to note, you don't need Valeera to do this strategy. Really all you need is that back line 3, and I actually have a more budget version of this list that I'm going to show here in a minute. But basically, Valeera, it's good to have her in the comp if possible, because I believe one of the roles you get on the treasure at the end is based on characters in party, so it does give you an extra chance of getting more Valeera coins at the end of your bounty, and we definitely want to maximize those chances as much as possible. But yeah, so any kind of starting comp, whether it's holy, nature, regular fire comp, really most general farming 3 starter leads are fine for getting through this bounty. We'll actually take a quick look here at the more budget OTK. So the cool thing about this is you only need 1 legendary. The only legendary you need is Garrosh. So this could be good if you need to farm up Valeera coins and you don't have her. So you can't task farm with her, you can't solo heroic with her because you don't have her yet. And if you want to get her with coins instead of getting packs, this is a good way you can do that. Basically, the only legendary you need here is Garrosh. And we do still rock that same Garrosh Rorka Gruul combo as before, because that is basically what guarantees our combo kill. Now, one important thing to note, and I'll cover this in the game, is sometimes your Garrosh gets, he's above the 50 HP health total, so you do have to be kind of clever about it sometimes and use maybe your own Gruul or Rorka on turn 1. Actually, I don't think you can use it on turn 1, but you basically, sometimes you want to either give them a free turn of hitting you again, or hit your own guy to knock him into that range so he gets that OTK kill off, and then you can just quickly wrap up the few dragons that are living. Especially with that, you get a Valeera mercenary that fights with you in the fight, so that makes killing them very, very easy. But in terms of the opening comp for this, we're actually using Gruul as part of the comp here. Gruul is doubling as a combo piece and a character to farm through the bounty with for this budget version. And I figured we need him anyways, so we might as well try and see how he does farming through. And there actually are a lot of characters in the normal fights in this bounty that do use fire. So I do find that Gruul is really good at actually keeping your characters alive, which is really nice, because I've done this bounty a fair amount of times now, and you can definitely lose a character or 2 on your way up. And normally that's not too big of an issue because your front line is different than your back line. But I found by going through it with Gruul and trying out this budget version, I was not losing characters quite as often in the early fights. So that was kind of an interesting thing to note. So definitely worth grinding out that fire resistance ability for Gruul. It seems very, very strong in PvE and PvP potentially. But alongside Gruul, we are rocking Geddon. He's basically just, we're having the standard kind of fire combo with him using his Inferno with the Mark of Conflagration equipment. And then Antonidas is our last lead, using Cinder Core Staff to buff up our Fireball, because that's what we're going to be spamming to trigger Geddon's AoE. And since we're doing this on normal, that usually cleans up most units in about 2 turns or so. It's funny, Gruul's, one thing people have noted about Gruul that he has struggled with a bit is that we don't have a lot of dragons, at least in the PvP Mercenaries. But in Blackrock Mountain, there are quite a few dragons, as it turns out. So Gruul's abilities are actually quite much better in some of these PvP bounties. And you do actually get the second trigger onto these abilities. So he's actually, I think, really, really good for this. And you don't need him, strictly speaking, for the combo. Like, if you don't have Gruul and you only have Garrosh and Rorka, you can still do it. It's just you need to be more careful about it because the casters on the opponent's side are going to deal a lot of damage to your Garrosh. So you want to make sure he's able to survive that initial barrage of super effective damage because you need him and Rorka alive for that quick OTK. But yeah, these are the main 2 versions of the lists here. But you can really do frontline like with anything, like I said. We are running Cookie on the backline here of the budget version purely because I think the appetizers are nice for just giving you a little bit of health for getting through the bounty, especially if you don't have the characters fully maxed out yet, their abilities and such. So I think that can be helpful, but you could put anyone in this spot. If you do actually have Valeera, I would recommend putting Valeera in this slot, even if she's not leveled enough to really use in this content, because you will have an extra chance at rolling her coins on the final reward tally. So yeah, that's about it for the comps here. Now we're gonna get into the games and see how they go. So we've got our bounty here we're getting into, and I'm gonna speed up these fights because they are all very simple and straightforward. I'm basically using the comp that was recommended to me. However, as I went over before, you do have 2 options. You can use a more budget comp, and truthfully, you can use any kind of comp you really want that's good at general bounty clearing for this portion. Really doesn't make too big of a difference as long as you have those essential 3 mercs, or at the very least, Garrosh and Rorka chilling in your back lineup. You should be fine. I found in terms of time, when you do get the OTK off, generally this ends up taking you about 10 minutes. Sometimes it can be a little more, maybe I'd call it a little bit around the 10 to 12 minute range, which really isn't that bad. You actually can see we just got a Mysterious Stranger there. So like the comment mentioned, you can actually combine your stranger farming with this, whether you're farming tasks or doing coin farming with a full task board. So that's kind of nice. You can actually combine methods, but we're about to get to Nefarian here. This is pretty easy, simple stuff. But for the kill, one thing you actually have to note is, like I mentioned before, the health totals really matter. So in this first kill here, we actually have the right health total and everything. So it's pretty simple. You just want to make sure you go for that AoE attack with the Valeera that it gives you in game here, as that will speed up your units for the next turn and get some good AoE damage off on their casters, which you will have to clean up after Nefarian dies. I found I just like to swing into the Nefarian so I don't take any direct damage and mess up the health totals, because you do want to make sure they are attacking that Garrosh. You could also consider attacking into a caster with Garrosh to help guarantee getting him down low enough. Could be worth doing. Like as we see here, I'm actually just above the 50 life total, so we're actually going to damage ourselves with Gruul, which will go off before Garrosh attacks, and then we will get the trigger, and that will get our OTK here.
Now Rorka is super important to this equation here, because if she is not buffing up Garrosh, then you will actually run out of time during the animations here, because it would only be dealing 11 per hit. Instead, now we're already scaled up to 40, and we're going to be at 50 here shortly, and so even at 999 health, we can get this kill in the amount of time before we hit the attack or animation limit or whatever it is. So that's important, and then once we do that, we're going to just clear up the last dudes on the board. It does take, I think, about 20 to 30 seconds to get the Garrosh kill there, but overall it is still much faster than having to kill Nefarian through the traditional fight. And unlike the method that we looked at last time for this bounty, it does not require any RNG to get that early OTK kill. So yeah, this was actually kind of funny. I thought it was kind of neat that I forgot these are dragons. So Gruul actually is even better in this fight, not only for preventing fire damage, which a lot of them have, but he actually gets a buff on his abilities, including his summon. So that's kind of cool. Not the most important thing in the world, but I do think it's kind of neat. We do know dragons are coming soon, TM, to Mercenaries, so it'll be exciting to see how he does when they get added into the game. But we are going to showcase here our rewards, and then we're going to look at the fight with the more free-to-play budget setup and see how it does. But it's pretty much just as effective for the most part. You can see we got 20 Valeera coins here, so you actually have a chance of getting 15 or 20 for each of those coins. You have 3 slots that can roll on the general Valeera coins from that pool of 3. One of the slots is from the mercs in your party, so if you have her in, that's a bonus as well. And the last one, I believe, is totally random. Here you can see we made it with our budget version of the comp, just rocking regular fire and using Gruul to kind of get through the main bounty. Now, something to note here is that I accidentally kind of mess up in this one, and they do end up, if you notice, I do have more health than I would typically, and so because of that, they are actually attacking the Gruul. And so that's not great, because obviously we need to get Garrosh down to a lower health total to guarantee that fight to the death. So what I end up doing here is I decide time to self-damage Garrosh some more. So this ended up taking a little bit longer, but I did want to showcase this too, so that you know that even if something does go wrong and they do end up attacking Gruul or a different unit instead, and they aren't getting your Garrosh down to where he needs to be for the kill, you can do that yourself. As we see here, I was able to use my own abilities, get him down below that magic number 50, and Gruul is still saving us though from that big AoE damage that could have potentially killed us before we get our combo off. So Gruul is very important, just really helpful in the combo. Rorka is going to give us that attack buff, and we're going to do the same thing as last time. I sped it up a little bit here just for the sake of the recording. But yeah, this is a really cool combo. Shout out again to the community for, pointing this out, and I really love things like that. So if you ever have like a cool strategy or a method that you think, other people should know about, definitely leave it in the comments. And maybe I'll do another video like this one on it, because I'm definitely more focused on the PvP in this game, but things like this definitely have been making me more enjoy the PvP or PvE aspect of it, because I think it's really cool finding these like funny fringe interactions that make a certain ability incredibly powerful. I always loved when stuff like that would happen. This kind of stuff would happen during some of the heroic adventures in the past. You would find a card combo would come out months or years later, and it would just totally break a boss to where you could insta-kill them or totally get around what was supposed to be a hard fight, and I really love that. According to the comment before, supposedly this method works pretty well for heroic too. I haven't tested that out yet myself. I'll have to get to that eventually. but from what I've heard, it sounds like this is also a good method for taking on Heroic if you want to do that. And we'll see our rewards here. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten the luckiest, but I haven't gotten the unluckiest either. But you can get, I think, up to like 60 or 80 Valeera coins from this at times. So there's a lot of potential there if you get lucky. But that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.